Nobody likes Facebook.
I can't blame
Especially,
them. Can you blame them?
no.
No.
I mean, it's rubbish, isn't it? It's like, what is it now? Like 35s and up. Like, I'm about to be a Facebook person. Like, because it
I'm
only comes.
37, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're primed for Facebook now. Like, getting tricked by like articles and you know,
Sitting on the spam, like, oh, I have to send this to 10 of my friends or else I'll
yeah,
get a virus on my phone or something.
yeah. It's like quick respond to this, quick. Like them good luck chains as well. I forget
Mhm.
what they're called. I'm not seeing them so
Yeah,
long.
yeah, yeah.
But it's like
Well, that's
Facebook's like so good. Like you know, it thrives on Facebook. Like mediums and psychics. Like that's your ultimate. Like if you're a psychic or a medium, go on Facebook. Like
yeah. I haven't
yeah.
noticed. I don't really use Facebook super often, so
I caught one out years ago. There's a local one. She's probably still doing it, like famous, and she's like dead famous on Facebook Lives. So it caught my attention, and then I noticed there was a boy, but I could just see his shoulder, like on her thing. So I was thinking, who's that, and why does he keep leaving the room, and why is he constantly typing? So I managed to find out who he was, like, and then I got his account up, and then I started messaging him about his aunt who's a medium. I'm like,
uh
yeah, I'm reading and all this. And he's like, oh, I've got to add you as a friend first. So I'm like, why? And he's like, well, you know, it just helps and all that. So I thought, okay, go along with it. Let him add me as a friend. And then I noticed he starts adding mutual friends. So like aunties, uncles. And I guess they must just scour everyone's Facebook for like all your information. So it's like obviously I would have posted about my granddad dying or something. So it's like, oh, I heard there's a guy in the room with me now, right now called Lawrence, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's my granddad,
right,
you
right,
know.
right.
So yeah, I clocked onto that rapid.
No, that's funny. I remember when those psychics were like really big back in the day, and like everybody was getting with like the 1-800. I don't know if you had them over there, where like you had to like
Yeah,
call like a special phone number and had to pay per minute or something for the psychics.
yeah. It's still, do you know what? And they're still big here. Like I think in England we're very like, although the intelligent English are probably like world leading people, like, but the average English person, we're not different to the 1700s, mate. Like the people that turn up on that Mayflower, we still have the same intelligence level and stuff like that. So mediums and stuff like that are still massive here. Like there's probably witch hunts that still are big here. Like I wouldn't be surprised.
I
Like
wouldn't.
anything
It's funny.
medieval like that, we still believe.
That's funny as hell. Yeah, I remember like it was like one of them for us was like a Jamaican lady, and she got called out and sued and like all this whole thing, and she was like the face of like internet psychics, you know, and that she got
Yeah,
sued to oblivion, and
yeah,
that kind of stopped the whole psychic gig for us, I guess.
yeah. I mean, it happens here. They get called out and everything, but I don't know. I just think it's the education level of the average Brit. Like they just, yeah. It's like as soon as there's a couple of things for them to grasp onto, it's like, yeah, this has to be real.
This
This
is
has to
real.
be
This is
100%
legit.
real.
100%
Yeah,
real.
and like the amount of like money they make. Like
Oh yeah.
my best friend died when I was about 25, and his mum still goes to a medium to speak to him, and like he believed in that stuff as well, and like literally because his dad died when we were kids, we used to do Ouija boards together just so he could talk to his dad, and
Wow.
like yeah, we're very in England, we're still very into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think. I mean, yeah, I might get called out for this, but I think church is kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty much the same, like religion and organized church and stuff like that. It's kind of like, oh, come to us, and then we
That's
can
it.
help you be with your ancestors or whatever the case may be. So,
Yeah, I mean, I suppose there is something to that where I'm not religious, but I suppose there is something to that where like like I suppose for me it'd be Old Trafford where United is. So if I go there, I know that both my granddads went there, all my uncles went there, my dad went there. So it's kind of like feeling like at one with them, their
Mhm.
spirit or whatever. So I do kind of see that. But the
Yeah,
whole
I
like,
can get that on a
yeah, but the whole like,
sentimental level.
yeah, that's it. And like, just feeling like, the spirits are all there. But yeah, mediums and all that, I just can't get with.
Yeah, I mean, if that's your gig, do it. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna bash you for it.
I just
But
thought of a joke. I
go
don't
ahead.
like mediums. I prefer to get high. When I'm low, I don't seek a medium. I get high. Yes, that's it there.
Cheers.
Cheers. So
Oh man.
anyway, I
Yeah.
know we're kind of just on a tangent about Facebook and mediums quite a
No
lot,
worries.
but have you heard much about the Anthony Joshua fight?
No, I haven't. I saw your notes and I was wanting you to fill me in.
Yeah, so I think that's this weekend. It's at
Okay.
Wembley, which I'm happy about because he's fought away from home for a lot recently. It's still part of Riyadh season though, so the Saudis are paying for it, which I don't mind. It's like,
Right.
you want to keep paying for this stuff, go for it. Like, let's do a sphere next week. But do you know what though? I think that would be incredible. Boxing at the Sphere. Like, although I don't think Sphere, right? I wasn't supposed to segue into this, but I will
Sure.
say it because Carl asked me what I thought of the Sphere, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just responded pretty sick because it is pretty sick. But in terms of how do I think it affected the event, I don't think it affected the event at all.
I disagree.
Well,
I think it affected it negatively.
well,
It
that's
took
what I'm
away.
saying.
I
Yeah,
think
that's what
like
I mean.
it was such a big deal, the Sphere, like these movies, and it's like I just want to watch fighting. You
Yeah,
know, like I tune in to watch the fighting. I wasn't there to watch mini documentaries and stuff. Like,
the one part I thought was cool, right? And it showed. This goes to show because it's the only part that I noticed was the before Sean O'Malley come out when they had all them drones. Like, I thought that looked pretty sick, and like
yeah,
the
like in the
confetti and
sky
stuff.
and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I did think that looked cool for a walkout. But one thing that I'd like at every fight now in the future is 50-foot holographs of the
Of each
fight.
fighter.
Yeah, I thought that was sick. Like, I'm not gonna lie. If I was walking out,
Oh yeah, you see yourself like that'd be
yeah,
insane.
I'd be looking at that and I'll be like, yo, I've made it. I have made it now.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. And it was a
like,
spectacle. Like it was a
it was.
huge spectacle, and that's the only thing is like I don't know. For me, when I watch the fights, I want to watch the fights. I don't care about like
Mm,
stuff in between. I don't even care like when they do the interviews of oh, I'm going to beat him up or he's going to
yeah.
he's weak at this and so I'm going to take advantage. Like I don't care. Blah blah blah. Like just show me the fights. You know.
No, yeah, I'm the same. Like, for WWE, I can see how it can enhance it
But
because, like, that's
that's a
like
great.
false. You can take that backstage and you can do loads of mad stuff. Like, you could even have a fighter that only exists on the Sphere, right? If that makes any sense, right? You could have this image of a fighter that only ever exists on the Sphere, and he's the Sphere champion. All this, right? For WWE, I actually think it would be sick,
Oh
right?
yeah, it would work because that's
But
kind of like it's gimmicks.
yeah,
It's nonsense, right?
but that's it. I think for most serious kind of sports, so if you said I'm going to put a football pitch in the Sphere, I'll be like, no, like
No.
why? What are we gaining from this? Like, if that Sphere could be fully filled with fans and we could hear all those fans
Yeah.
booming from this Sphere, then yeah, that would be awesome. Because when I first saw the concept of the Sphere, that's what I thought it was, and I think that's what they were selling it as, is this big sphere to where it would be fans all around the venue. And obviously things change and all that, or maybe I just misinterpreted it, but that's what I thought would be sick. Like, if it was just maybe even like, I don't know if your sports did this, but in COVID times they had like FaceTimes
Mhm.
videos in the crowd. So like,
Yes.
I think if they could have done that, where it was just full of faces, just watching, I think that would have looked so good and would have been sick.
Yeah. I mean, I guess what I naively thought is like the fights would be shown up there as well.
Me
You
too.
know what I mean? like I think we were talking about it where like you could see like an iconic knockout on the Sphere, like big and blown up, and it was just like it was a movie, it was a video game kind of. I don't know. I didn't like it. Honestly, I think I even tweeted something like I really hate the Sphere or something like that. But like it's kind of trash. Like I didn't enjoy it at all.
No, I didn't, and I felt like similar to what you were saying. I felt like it took away from a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the event, like because like I'm similar to you. A big main event like that, I just want to watch the fights. Like I don't care. Like one thing UFC fans always complain about boxing is the show before the main event.
Yes,
Like UFC fans always complain about that whenever there's a big boxing event, like
100%.
a mariachi band before Canelo, or Liam Gallagher's doing it for this AJ Dubois fight. Yeah, so UFC fans will watch that and they'll be like, "Oh, just get on with it, just get on with it." So
Yeah.
why aren't you saying this about the Sphere? Like,
Oh
why?
yeah,
At
I am.
the I know you are, but most UFC
Yeah,
fans that would
this
be
is
doing it
great.
against boxing
Yeah,
are all like, "Oh, the Sphere, best thing I've ever seen," and it's
yeah.
like, what? It's 20 million. You got so your company paid 20 million. You got priced out of this event. Pay-per-views went up just for you to then sit there and go, "Oh, that was amazing." And most people that are saying that, you've just lost your favorite champion as well in Sugar Sean. So
Yeah. So that's another thing. I think maybe if the fights were better.
yeah,
I mean, obviously the co-main event and the main event were awful. Like this,
yeah.
can
But
you?
I was
I
gonna
mean, I don't
say
want to
that
sugarcoat it. I don't
I
want to
did
sugarcoat
think
it.
I think the night was great all the way up until. I mean, I enjoyed the last two fights. I'm not saying they were boring fights, like, but from a casual perspective, you'd be yawning a bit, wouldn't you, watching them two fights? From
Yeah,
my perspective, I was like, you know what, Valentina looked so fucking like
she was
tuned in,
focused. Yeah,
yeah,
she was
so
focused.
focused. And
Mm-hmm.
Grasso then started looking like
Defeated, man.
more and more erratic, like the event was eating her up, and like the frustration was getting to her. So I
Yeah,
found that real interesting. And same with the main event, like I enjoyed Bilal Leon. A lot of people saying that was boring, but I actually, yeah, I enjoy it though. Like when I don't expect it to happen, I enjoy it. Like so, I expected Leon to do what he did to Bilal in the first fight. I just
yeah. It was.
expected that to play out again, right?
Mm,
And Bilal would just end up slumped on the floor. And same with Sean and Marat, yeah. I think the Aljo gave us a false sense of security in Sugar Sean,
mm.
and I thought he'd catch Murad on the way in very
Same.
early on.
I thought he would catch him in one of those submissions, and he
Yeah.
tried. It didn't work.
So when I'm watching a wrestler who's against a striker with like one shot power, like i.e. Leon, he can just head kick someone and the fight's over.
Yeah,
Sean can punch someone and it's over. I do find that real entertaining to watch because every second I'm
something
like,
could happen.
yeah, yeah, and like we saw it in the fifth round when Sean found the
Finally
perfect
got to the
shot.
body.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and like that a few more of them, it could have just been over.
Could have. Mm-hmm.
Sean's the winner, and he's lost every round. So I did personally find it entertaining, but I do concur with a lot of people saying we're about to go into a boring era.
Yeah, that's the only thing. I mean, like, I will say this: Marab is more entertaining than Bilal.
Yeah,
Like
less annoying.
he does. Yeah, well, Marab is pretty annoying.
I find his annoyingness like fun though, whereas
Yeah,
Bilal, I just find
less
him
douchey, more
annoying.
fun.
Yeah, like I can laugh at Marab, whereas Bilal is just real good at just being a prick.
Yeah,
Like,
oh yeah. I just think at least Marab he will try to stand for a little bit, and then obviously he'll shoot. But I mean, at least he made it entertaining. He kissed Sean, he yelled at his coach.
yeah,
Like he did some things. But as a big spectacle main event, like you want that highlight, that signature moment, right? And I think we got that with the Zell Huber fight versus what is it, Rabovich or whatever.
oh, that was a good fight.
That was a really good fight. Aldana in the prelims.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
That
Like
that
if you watch
Ronaldo
that,
kid, the Ronaldo versus the Jamaican guy.
that was a good fight.
That
Very
was a
back and
great
forth.
fight. Obi or something. The Jamaican
Mm-hmm.
lad was called. I don't know if is he Jamaican or American because he seemed American to me, but he's represented.
Don't know.
But it's
To be
not that
fair, I
important
sound like
anyway.
a casual, but
Yeah, because sometimes I get confused because I was like, he's speaking perfect American. You know, I expect a bit of Jamaican twang, like. So I
yeah,
was
Odie
confused, but
Osborne from Jamaica. So, but that was
yeah,
yeah, that was a good fight. Osborne had him, I think, in the first round, and then the last two, that Ronaldo guy came back, and then I don't know if you
that
saw, like, he immediately had to go to the hospital.
yeah.
Like he couldn't. He was so exhausted, beat up. Like
Mm-hmm.
they took him right to the hospital. And
Did
I
you see
saw.
him? Go on, sorry.
No, I was saying the post fight interview.
Yeah.
You saw that where he
No,
couldn't
I was
barely.
gonna ask if you saw him pre-fight in the
Oh
day
no.
before. Oh, he was going wild, man. He was saying the N word. He was calling him an F word. He was calling him all the words where I have to say the first letter followed by the word. Like
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
he
You
was
know it's
saying
bad
lots of
whenever
mad
you can only
stuff.
say the R word or the F word, right?
Yeah, and yeah. So he was so hyped.
Yeah.
Like everyone, like basically most of the MMA community that are like the red pill guys, they're all like loving him now. He's like the new Manel Cap for them because I don't know if you know, but they all love Manel Cap as well. Just before this fight with Mo, um, he was their guy because he stood up to Izzy or something in a press conference.
Yeah, but
So
then he put on a boring fight and then he lost,
yeah,
right? Like,
but that's what I find funny, right? Is Mo gets all the stick for that, and I'm a Manc, and he's a Manc, so I'm a bit biased, right? Because he represents my city. But I don't understand why Manel Cap gets nothing. Like, he's the one that's supposed to push the action as the striker, right? Because I come from a striking background. Like, if I'm not pushing the action a bit, I'm not getting no strikes off either, whether I'm scared of takedowns or I'm scared of whatever's coming back or not.
mhm.
So I never understand why you don't get any shit for that.
Yeah, I think it's a weird thing whenever it is like striker versus wrestler or jiu-jitsu guy. Like all the blame does fall on the wrestler or the jiu-jitsu
Yeah,
guy, but at the same time, like it's your job to defend it,
yeah,
right? Like it's
exactly.
your job to counter it
Like
or
if
whatever.
Marab was scared in the main event, it would have been the most boring fight ever because Sugar Sean was terrified of engaging him. And like, I don't care. Some Sugar fans might come and say, "Oh, he had a hip injury before the fight, whatever." I don't give a fuck about excuses like that. Like the way how Sean talks, the way how he digs himself up, the way how he was talking about Marab before the fight, and oh, he's
Mhm.
just a little guy, I'll knock him out, and all that. Sorry, don't talk like that, and then be terrified to engage. Like, and then
Yeah, that was just such a weird thing, man. He looked so weird. Like
it,
I don't know.
yeah, I don't think he looked weird. He just looked like anyone that just doesn't want to engage. Excuse you, but yeah, he just looked like someone that didn't want to engage to me. Like,
Yeah, but the thing is, like, why? Like, if you're that
eh,
confident and that like this is the sugar show, you know, like you should be
yeah,
pushing
but
the action. You should be like that burden's on your shoulders.
let's analyze. Let's analyze who Sugar Sean is, right? Let's do a little bit of psychology or whatever it's called, psychoanalysis, right? Has he ever fought anyone his own size?
No, and we talked about that,
No,
and
never,
I
right?
think
Has he ever shown
exactly
interest in fighting anyone his own size, like Corey Sandhagen? Never,
no.
right? So when he won the belt, what was one thing that he credited for winning that belt? It wasn't his skill, it wasn't anything. It was his coach telling Aljo to rush forward, right?
Right, to go
And
in, shoot,
yeah,
got to shoot or
right.
whatever he said.
I'm using this is all what Sean was saying after the Aljo fight, so I'm just using it against him. Who did he want to defend his first title defense against?
The guy
Cheeto,
he Cheeto Vera.
Cheeto, right? A guy that just lost, yeah? So Sean doesn't fancy himself. Sean has no I've said this I said it on the podcast a few months ago, like, Sean's a mental midget. Like, Sean might go around calling other people midgets, but Sean is a mental midget. Sean is terrified of having anything where it's not stacked in his favour. And the moment he realised in that first round that this isn't stacked in my favour, he fucking shat himself. He shat
Yeah.
the bed.
Yeah, and then I guess the only thing I can say, I mean, as somebody who's kind of a neutral Sean O'Malley, I don't dislike him. I don't really like him, but like after the fight, he didn't make excuses.
No.
So he was just like, "It is what it is," you know. Like I lost, it sucks, whatever. So that's one thing I gave him credit for. But then,
Yeah.
like 2 days later, he put out a tweet saying, "Oh, I won 2 of the last 3 rounds, so I won the fight."
Yeah. And he is heavily talking
You're
about
such a fucking weird guy. Like,
yeah, and he's heavily talking about tearing his hip before the fight now. So, like I watched his podcast as soon as it come out yesterday, I think it was, because I was like, I want to see what he's saying. And as soon as I saw it, I thought, you know what? I respect this lad so much. He could have had all the excuses, and he didn't in that podcast. But since he has seemed to have kind of put seeds out there for his fan base to take from. Because I reckon Marab had an injury before the fight. Like you
everybody
don't
has
go
injuries
through
before the
weeks of
fights.
sparring without getting injured. Like
Yeah, I think every fighter comes in with an injury. So I don't think you can use an excuse. And I think it's weird going off of that. Like, it's like this weird bipolar type thing with him. Like when he's just being a real normal human being,
yeah,
like he seems humble. He seems like a normal guy. But then when he goes into like persona mode, if that makes sense,
yeah,
like he switches his persona on, and then he goes like, oh, all the excuses start flying out. Oh, I'm still undefeated. Like, it's weird. It's just
It's
something I
like a
noticed.
show. Like I don't know if you watched his podcast after the fight, but
I did not.
this kind of summed it up for me. So Sean talks about the fight, and so does his coach. And then not long after, his producer is crying on the podcast, upset that he didn't get an invite to the after party. Oh, none of you's invited me to the after party and all this, yeah. I was sat in my hotel room alone, like Sean had just lost, so I'm upset. None of you's invited and all this, yeah. And to me, that if that's in his friend circle, like that's so close to where they're on a podcast with him after this monumental event that's happened. To me, I think that's what type of guy you are too. Is like,
Oh yeah, the company you keep is
yeah,
indicative of
like kind of fickle and just all about show and parties and stuff like this, rather than like.
I mean, you could tell like after he first got his money, what did he do? He went and bought a pink Lamborghini.
Yeah,
it's all about the show. It's about the money. It's about the trying to be bigger than Connor. Let's just be honest.
So I'm just looking at the chat because I've not looked at that yet.
Cal, welcome.
All right, Cal. What event did you go to? Which ones in New York, New Jersey did you manage to go to? Because he said here in the chat he used to go to every event in New York, New Jersey.
The product isn't as good. I wouldn't say that's the case. I mean, some of the older stuff it doesn't hold up anymore. The talent level is immense now.
Yeah.
You could say you like the people back then more.
I think it's just massively oversaturated. Like, where we'd wait months for an event, now we get one every week. So it's just like we're talking about this Sphere event, but then there's one next week already. So
yeah. Chat says GSP, John Jones winning his first title, Silva and Brock. So you got to see a lot of the good people.
Some legendary stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, good shit in the chat. That's awesome. I would love to have seen that in person too. But I don't think that the product is getting worse. I just think, like you said, that it's oversaturated. It's every other week now. But don't get me wrong. At the same time, like if there's not a fight on the weekend, I'm like, man, what am I gonna do on my Saturday night?
Yeah, I've been finding that as well.
Like, I guess I'll go watch, I don't know, bare knuckle or something.
Yeah, for me it's Sunday. Like, if I wake up on a Sunday and there's not been a fight, I'm like, what am I doing today? Like, what am I supposed to do today? Like, because usually I'd rewatch the fights or the ones I hadn't watched, and then I'd watch like the post-fight press conference, and then there'd usually be like Sean O'Malley was doing Snapchat stuff and like things like that. So all that's been happening while you guys are still kicking in America, and I'm like out of it. So then I wake up on Sunday with all this content, and like whenever there's not a fight, I'm just like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Chat says shows, books, games, the world. You could do other stuff.
No, yeah, I get that, but like, is it? I suppose in COVID for me, I just got so used to UFC,
Yep.
like to where it's just ingrained into my life now.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so it is like it's almost like when I'm awake past 12 p.m. a.m. here, it's like what am I supposed to watch on TV? Find new chicken tikka places. You know what, Carl? I found a lot. I have I moved to a new place in Cheshire, and I tried every curry place down there. Like I'm not even exaggerating, in every area, yeah. And then that, like down here in Manchester, I literally try everyone. Like I am just a massive curry fiend. I'm not even gonna lie. Like my local one knows my mum's name and everything. Like they talk like the best friends. It's funny. He's only like a 20-year-old lad as well.
That's weird.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but yeah. To kind of take it back,
Mm-hmm.
we started out on a Dubois AJ, and then
Yes.
we
Circle
got
back to that.
thingy. What is there anything you think about that fight, or are you even going to watch the fight?
I'll probably watch it just because I mean it's a spectacle to see, and it's in Wembley, and it's a that's stadium or arena shows are always amazing.
Yeah.
Always fantastic. Um, but just from what I've seen, like AJ seems so much bigger, so much more talented. Like I don't. Is it really going to be competitive? I mean, like you're more in tune with the boxing
Mm.
world.
I actually, right. So to give you a perspective on why I think it will be very competitive, is AJ's last two opponents was Wallin and Ngannou, which essentially was on a Tyson Fury kind of, I'll show Fury what I can do against his opponent kind of thing.
Mm.
Wallin, he's not the biggest well-known boxer. He's not like the most experienced boxer. The only thing of note he's ever done is go 12 rounds with Fury and arguably beat Fury. And then obviously Ngannou, it was his second ever boxing fight, and AJ made it look like his second ever boxing fight.
Mm.
So if you compare that to the journey Dubois has been on, which is his last four fights or five fights have been Joe Joyce, which he lost. Who Joe Joyce is a very good heavyweight. Then he beat someone or a couple of people. Then he went into Usyk and lost. But since then, this is why I think it's competitive. He's fought Big Baby Miller, who's an American. Jarrard Miller he's called. He's like quite well known over here. He was supposed to fight AJ. He got popped for pretty much every drug. But he fought him, beat him, and then he fought Hrgovic. Now Hrgovic has always been like in Europe. He's always been the guy like that everyone spoke about. Like he's going to be the next Klitschko kind of guy. You know what I mean? But Dubois took it to him, beat him. Like this, AJ was expecting to fight Hrgovic. Everyone was thinking full-blown conclusion. It's going to be AJ versus Hrgovic today for this title. But Dubois like battered him. So part of me thinks because Dubois recently beat two top five fighters and lost to two top five fighters, whereas AJ's last couple of fights have been quite lower down. Part of me thinks Dubois might have that like match fitness like over AJ.
So I was while you're talking, I'm listening, but I'm looking at Dubois' last fights, right? So like you said, Hrgovic beat him. Jarrell Miller beat him. Then he lost to Usyk. It says here by KO.
Yeah.
So again, Usyk is he's a heavyweight, but is he a heavyweight? He's a cruiserweight.
Yeah.
And then who else did he lose to here? He lost to Joe Joyce. So also by KO.
Yeah.
So if AJ touches him, AJ has power.
It's possible, but I think it's also possible the other way around. Like I don't know if you've seen Dubois, but he's a very hard hitter. Like, the only reason why I got signed as like a 19-year-old was because he put AJ down in sparring, apparently.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, I think that because I've seen Dubois quit twice. He quit against Usyk to a jab, and he quit against Joe Joyce again to a jab. But the way how Joe Joyce and Usyk both are is they're very like they hit you a lot. You know what I mean? So they're not knocking you out with one shot, but they're doing a lot of a lot of damage over time. Whereas I don't think AJ could do that, but he can do it in one. You know what I mean? So all the damage they accumulated on that eye, he could do it with just one or two shots, whereas it took them 30. So it's really intriguing to me. I think it's a crossroads fight for either of them because AJ's 36, Dubois 26. So it could be a passing the torch moment. It could be, or it could be, look, you're not on this level. Calm down.
You're not there yet.
Yeah. So I'm very intrigued by it, and I think the undercard as well, because I imagine it's going to be early for you guys. But if you can watch the undercard, I highly recommend it. There's some great fighters on that undercard. Like, they might not be the most well known, but they've all been in great fights recently. Like, you've got Tyler Denny versus Hamza Shiraz. I've just watched Hamza Shiraz go and batter someone, be an underdog, and just absolutely like crush all the odds out in Saudi Arabia. Like, and Tyler Denny is a good fighter as well. And then after that, you got Anthony Kakase versus Josh Warrington, right? That's for a featherweight title. Now those guys, like Josh Warrington, he's been one of the fan favourites in England for years. Like, he's one of them where he just fights with his heart on his sleeve, just goes for it. But Anthony Kakase, I can't say his name, but he recently was an underdog that just gone and defied everyone's expectations and just battered his opponent. And then the one I'm intrigued the most about is Boatsy and Willie Hutchinson. Now again, it's the same story, right? Willie Hutchinson just beat a guy called Syde, who's supposed to lose against. Everyone thought he was going to lose. He dogged him. He absolutely just pressured him, made the guy wilt, and then battered him. Now he's in the same sort of fight. Everyone thinks Boatsy is going to win by miles, but I actually think if Hutchinson can get his game off early, it could be another long night. Like, so, yeah, there's a lot of good fights.
Yeah, it looks like it. You got the heavyweight titles on the line, the European middleweight championship, the IBO super featherweight, the light heavyweight championship. So you have a lot of stakes, a lot of money on the line for those fights. So those guys are going to come to put on a show, hopefully, in that big arena, with all those fans. How many fans can be in Wembley? Like 40-something thousand?
40, double it.
Is it?
Yeah. Like, not that. They broke the record with like 90 to 100 with Fury and White, but they're pushing for it to be like 120 now.
90,000 seats, and then you have standing room.
So they're trying to push the standing room to 120.
Wow.
Or as close to 120 as we can. And with it being all British, like, it's just going to pack out. Like,
yeah, that's insane. 100,000 people there to watch the fights, imagine.
Bro, it's going to be like...
Could you imagine looking up?
It's going to be what people thought the Sphere was going to be. Like, what Wembley is going to generate is what I thought the Sphere was going to do. Like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, because even when Fury fought, I think it was Chisora actually, not White. He fought either Chisora or White there a few years ago. Like, even that, it was just the atmosphere when two British guys fight at Wembley is just something else. Like, I don't understand why UFC don't do it. Like, why just say...
I think they're scared, man, that it might... What if it doesn't fill up?
But the thing is, you do it at our time, we'll fill it up. Like...
Yeah, but they want to do it on Vegas time.
Well, they did the last one.
Yeah.
That was annoying. Like, but when they did previously in Manchester, they packed it out, and like the streets were full. Like, even the streets are even full in the last one. So imagine what you're gonna do at Wembley when it's at 10 p.m. our time. Like it's gonna be like UFC love talking about records. That's a record there that will actually be impressive. That's
Right.
not just that pack thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The last event in the UK was obviously it was Leon and Aspinall. So that was 17,000 people in
Yeah, like
Manchester.
3 a.m. as well.
Yeah, I remember that people were bitching about having to go to work the next, or like
Yeah,
yeah, that's what 5 o'clock in the morning it starts or something like that. It's insanity. Like
yeah. Like if you went, you would have been. We call our city centre town. So if I say town, that's what I mean. Um, if I went, I would have been trapped in town for like 4 hours because none of the public transport would have like started operating. So I just don't know. Like I bet you there was carnage in Manchester that night with all them cokeheads all pissed up and just watched the fight and stuck there. I
oh
bet you it
geez.
was carnage.
Yeah, that reminds me of some of the stuff we have going on here. Sometimes you see all these reports of people being stuck and can't leave, like these big rallies and stuff. Like the
Yeah,
public transport is overwhelmed, so they can't do it.
you're just stuck at your rally.
Just
Imagine. I don't know, like you've gone to a Trump rally and then you're just stuck there with them people for like the next 5 hours. You're
right.
like,
Like
oh,
I don't even really like you people.
yeah, that's it. I suppose, yeah, you'll figure out if they're your people or not. You know what I mean?
That's funny. Oh man. So I don't know why, but my clips aren't pulling up. But so we'll just carry on without them.
Yeah, no
I guess
worries.
I wanted to bring up that gruesome Aldana injury and just kind of get your thoughts
Totally.
on. Do you think, just in general, when you see something like that, you feel like the fight should have been stopped, or are you of the opinion like you let them go until they don't want to go anymore?
Yeah, I'm of the opinion of like, right, so you won't stop a fight if like a finger's broke, for example. Maybe they would, I don't know. But let's just fight. Fingers maybe a bad example. Knuckles, nose, yeah, they get broken in pretty much every fight.
Right.
Fights never stop. You break your nose, it does affect you. You stop breathing properly. You start breathing out your mouth, right?
Right.
So how's that any different to your eye? Yeah, I've got a perfect one right here that used to always lead into my eye, and I'd always get blind or I'd just have a hue of red on this side. So I'd adapt to it. I would never have wanted it stopped, like never. Like, and I think I think they just should consult fighters more so on that one.
So
But I do
even
get it. No fighter's probably gonna say, "Yeah, I
right
want to stop." But I mean, a good example of one that I think would have said it is Bilal in the Leon fight. Like, if you saw
with the
how
eye.
bad that was, I think Bilal would have said, no, no, I don't want to fight on. I want to get my eye fixed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I do think there is occasions where fighters would put their health first and their eye health and not do it. But yeah, when you think about it, it's just to stop blood from getting in the eye and stop them from being blinded on one side. I don't see how that should stop a fight.
Sure, but did you see the Aldana cut? You could see
Yeah, I
her
did.
skull.
It was bad, but it's like, would we think if that was on a fly, would we think any different?
I mean, if you want to go back to, there was a fight a few months ago. The guy got leg kicked so hard he broke his leg and then like gashed open his leg, and they stopped
Yeah,
the fight.
yeah. I mean, a broken leg, I can understand. Like, no, but it's like a bit of like basically right. It's like if someone's sweat is dripping the wrong way and it's starting to go into the eye. Do we stop a fight?
No, of course not.
No. So, what's the difference between that and blood?
Well, like I said, the blood, you could literally, we're punching her skull. Like you could literally.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, that one is different. But I'm just talking about a cut
Yeah,
up
the
the eye.
cuts and yeah,
You know, a fight that's getting stopped because of the cut going into the eye.
yeah.
That's all I'm on about. Like hers was different. Like you could see bone. Like, but again, I don't think a cut like affect you in a fight much. Like, yeah, it might affect your rhythm because you'd be dabbing it and stuff like that. But I think, yeah, I just don't see it as something that stops a fight. Like, it's not like a
Yeah.
broken leg. You know what I mean?
You see, you want them to go out on their shield
Kind of.
yeah. Because I mean, remember the UFC is all about fighter safety.
Yeah, yeah, of course they are. Yeah, like they got John Jones like just doing his own thing. Mate, how worried was you when he was starting to be shown on the feed in Vegas? I was like, John Jones in Vegas. Are these guys stupid?
Right? Like, get him out of there. Get him
Yeah,
out of
just
there. Get him back to wherever the hell, New Mexico or wherever the hell he
we're gonna
was.
see something. We're gonna see something. This is me calling it right here. Something's gonna come out. John Jones was arrested on such and such a date, and we're gonna look at that date, and it's gonna be the severe date.
Like
Like
within a week
it's
of the sphere.
yeah, yeah, it's so obvious. Like, but yeah, I was worried because I was seeing him there, and I was like, oh, like I wanted to fight Aspinall, let alone Stipe, and now
Yeah.
you're in Vegas. Like, what's going
You're not
on
gonna
here?
fight anybody.
No, like you're
You
gonna
fight in
fight 10
courts.
cops. Like, that's what you're gonna do. But no, yeah, like on to Jones as well.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
Like, obviously they've announced he's fighting Stipe now. It's all official.
Oh sorry. Oh sorry. It was involuntary.
Yeah, and then Jones has come out and said he's going to retire afterwards, which I don't think we're massively surprised about. But don't be calling yourself the heavyweight GOAT. Like, that's all I ask. Yeah, you can call yourself the GOAT, the light heavyweight GOAT, and all this stuff. But don't do this, and UFC don't do it either. Don't let him be old man Stipe. Let him retire, play a video, and be like, the greatest of all time. He was the greatest at light heavyweight. He was the greatest at heavyweight. No, he wasn't. He's not even the third best at heavyweight. He's not even proven to be in the top 5 in the world heavyweight. Yeah. So.
But so if the UFC can convince him, he beats Stipe, right? He makes it look easy. He runs through Stipe. He's not injured. He's feeling good, right? The UFC can convince him to come back and face Tom, and he beats Tom. Do you change your tune?
A little bit. Yeah, it does. Because Tom's resume will give Jones a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's beat a guy that's beat all these guys. So then it's hard to be like, then you can say, well, that means he doesn't have to now fight another 3-4 guys to solidify himself as a heavyweight. You know what I mean? But I still think there's question marks even if he beats Tom. Like, I just think to be considered the greatest of a division, even in a sport like MMA that's so young, I think you need at least 5 fights at the very least. It's like a lot of people don't put Khabib up there in GOAT lists because of how little he fought in UFC. And I can get that to an extent, you know what I mean? Because it's like, yeah, you can have 27 fights and be undefeated. It's who are they against that matters. It's like comparing Wilder's 48 fights to Anthony Joshua's 25. It's like, who would you rather have? Them 48 fights or Joshua's 25?
And I would say the same with like Pereira. Pereira's had 10 fights?
Yeah.
I would love his resume.
Yeah, but Pereira's is different though. Like, Pereira's is like beating the champ of a division. You know what I'm saying? Like, where Pereira's beat Israel, who's arguably a GOAT of his weight class. So, whereas Jones, he's beat
Stipe is arguably a GOAT of his weight class.
Who's that?
Stipe. Yeah, Stipe is the most decorated heavyweight champion.
But Izzy was a reigning champion.
Right. Yeah, no, that's the difference, right?
That's the caveat. Izzy was still in his prime. In fact, I think Alex Pereira took Izzy out of his prime because of the damage he did to him. I think it shortened his career span a bit. Like, those
it definitely made him fight differently.
Yeah, like those leg kicks, you could see that they still live with him to this day. Like, so that's different. Like, that's kind of like if he beats Stipe just after Stipe beat DC, then yeah, then you're like,
Right.
yeah, of course. I can't argue that it's just beat Stipe, who's just beat all these guys, and he's just reigned for this amount of time.
That's what I said. It's 4 years too late.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So the only way, and there'll still be questions with this, but the only way to assert himself as the number one is beating Ngannou, in my opinion. Like, and the next closest thing to that is Tom. Like, because again, you look at Tom's resume, he's beat some top guys in that division. So he
By
kind of,
knockout.
yeah, and done it. And he's not done it in a way where you're like, oh yeah, but if this wouldn't have happened, Tom might have got beat. He's done it so conclusive in
Yeah.
every fight. Like, I was worried about the Blades fight. I was thinking, is Blades going to be the guy that's like shows us Tom's level? You know what I mean? Like, is Blades going to be the one that gives him a tough fight and makes you question things, and
Yeah.
he even possibly beats him? Because I didn't think it was going to go the way how it went.
No.
And the fact that he did it to Blades as well.
Yep.
I was
Yeah, I
just
thought
like,
I could have seen a scenario where Blades kind of hung with him on the feet, but then took him down and kind of held him there and elbows and rained down some ground and pound. That's what I thought. Like,
yeah, me too. I thought it was going to be a tough fight. Like, I thought it was going to be like a 5-rounder, or at very least like a 3-round battle. You know, where one of them just kind of not gives up, but just kind of dies of exhaustion.
oh yeah, heavyweights.
That's
I guess
what I think with Jones though, is he doesn't have anything like that at heavyweight, and he's not had anything like that at light heavyweight for a long time. Where like Dominic Reyes was so. A lot of people give Reyes that fight, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's almost like I was saying about Sugar Sean O'Malley. It's like everything's a bit manipulated with John Jones.
yeah, I mean that's a fair assessment because he's the golden boy, so
It's so weird
everything
though.
is. But like, yeah, I mean, it is weird because it hasn't always been that way. Like
No,
when John was messing up, like
to me it just seems like it's to stick it to Ngannou, like, because I
yeah,
honestly don't see any reason why the UFC are putting all their cards behind him now. Like, he's never backed him. He's never given any reason to be like, to put faith in him. And like, and then you got like, he's not exactly the most supported guy. So it's not like, I don't think he's a superstar, John Jones. Like,
yeah. That's another thing I was thinking is like he's not like he doesn't do huge pay-per-view numbers.
no.
He's not like the mega. Like he was at one point, but like it's been a while since he's been that draw, that guy. And I mean,
Whereas
he's
I
only
think
fought like twice in the last 5 years or something like that. It's been
that's
insane.
it. And like, he's brought the company into disrepute, like with how he acts outside of the company. Like, you know, he's obviously tested positive, negative, however you want to look at it, hidden from drug testers. He even threatened drug testers recently as his most recent crime is them trying to kidnap drug testers and stuff like that. So it's just like, you know what's ironic is, you know who is perfectly behaved outside the cage? And you know who's got a massive fan base who are willing to follow him all around the world. And you know who is actually delivering in every fight that they've been in so far? Tom Aspinall. That's your golden boy. Like, I understand I'm biased.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
From Manchester, right? I totally understand this, but like, just look at it. He's got the whole nation. Right? He's not like Paddy Pimblett, where he's got one city supporting him. Like, Tom's universally liked. He's got the whole country supporting him, and then you look at how he behaves outside the ring or the cage. He's perfectly behaved. Like, and then his dad is like a great part of his community, taught everyone how to do jiu-jitsu and all that stuff. So it's like, I just don't get it. You're putting all your eggs in a basket that you know is going to have a DUA, or is it, yeah, DUA.
DUI.
You're going to have
Yeah.
a DUA and run over someone and crack all the eggs, where you can put it in this basket where it's just going to have a nice little smooth journey. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's the problem is the highs with John are high, and then you have the lows. So like Tom
Yeah,
is just kind of I don't know. I
yeah.
don't know his personality. Like I couldn't tell you anything about his personality.
You know, it's a
Whereas
bit like
John,
me.
you know what John's personality is.
Yeah, but the
He's
thing
a wild
is,
man.
you don't. We only know John's personality because of TMZ. Yeah, not because of UFC, because of TMZ. Yeah,
Fair.
the only reason you don't know Tom's is because of the UFC, because the UFC don't promote him enough. Like they don't put him out there enough. Like I'd see him a lot because he does a show on English TV for TNT Sport. He does a weekly show on that, So I get to see him, and he's quite like me, and like this thing, he's very cheeky. He has he's good at wordplay, and he's very cheeky, and he
Okay.
will always get some cheekiness out, like to the point where it goes over a lot of Americans' heads, like they think he's being serious.
Yeah.
Like for instance, have you seen that Nina Drama? She does all the UFC interviews.
Nina.
Yeah, like so. His first question to her when they did an interview was he said, "Have you ever been fingered by a UFC fighter?" And she went, "What?" And he went, "Have you ever been fingered by a UFC fighter?" And she was like, "Fingered?" And he's like, "Yeah, you know what I mean." And she's like, "No, no." And then his next question was, "Okay, what would it take?" Like this is just him, just being funny. You know what I mean? Like he's a bit quirky, but I just don't think it translates.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting question to ask a female reporter, even if you're just
Yeah.
meaning it in a different way or whatever. It's an interesting question to ask.
No, he meant it like that way.
Oh,
It's because in a chat, it's what everyone says in a chat. I'm guessing it's English people mostly like, oh, she got fingered by Jones or whatever. So like he notices that people are saying that in a chat, and so he wanted to ask her himself
oh,
instead of
geez.
it be a chat thing. It was awkward, but
Did she
uh,
take it in a good way or?
yeah, yeah, she took it as a laugh.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm not asking you to do it right now, but if you ever want to see his personality, sorry, that smooth is thingy me. But if you ever want to see his personality a bit, just check out his like YouTube. He does a YouTube channel. Does like a few skits where he's like looking for John Jones in random places, or like he's just a funny guy, to be honest. He's just like a nice working class northern bloke, like like he trains with Fury and stuff like that, so he has a bit of their humour as well. Like, and I
Yeah,
think that's
take it or
why,
leave it.
yeah, yeah. But I think that's why he's so good at like the boxing side of things, is because he actually trains as a boxer, not as a MMA fighter trying to box. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I didn't mean to say. I think I saw a video just because you were bringing up Tyson Fury. He was training MMA. He was doing leg kicks and stuff.
Oh
Did
yeah.
you see that?
Like years ago, yeah, I saw it.
No, recently.
Tyson. Oh, Tommy.
Tyson. And
All
speaking of
right.
Tommy,
That's so weird because Tommy was in the gym with Tommy today. Both the Tommies, Tommy Fury and Aspinall, were in the gym together today. Funnily enough, you say that. But
did you see Tommy Fury? He called out Jake Paul for an MMA match.
I did, yeah, I did.
That would be
That's how I knew
interesting.
they were together today. Both the Toms, because that was in Aspinall's gym.
Gotcha.
Uh, but yeah, PFL, like,
Right there. I mean, he's already Jake Paul's already there. So I mean,
might as well. I mean,
$500,000 to get him over. I'm sure.
people gave a lot of. I don't know if you saw this, but after the Ngannou and Joshua fight, Demetrius Johnson said, no matter what kind of fight that was, it would have ended like that in the same amount of time. Like, and I actually agree with Demetrius on this because I think world class boxers are just so good at boxing that, like, basically the world class MMA guys would be world class boxers if they were good enough, but they're not, so they're in MMA. Does that make sense?
Sure,
Like, and I'm
but
not trying to say that for everyone. Like,
yeah,
there'll be guys that just maybe never went down a boxing path. Like similar to myself, never. I always preferred kicking and clinching, so I didn't really care about boxing. But I do believe that the ones that get to like Joshua Canelo level, I don't care what fighting skills you have, they're knocking you out in a few seconds. Like they're just so good at timing that you're not gonna get you're not gonna your footwork is not gonna be better than their footwork, no matter what. Like is my opinion.
I mean, they remember probably 10, 15 years ago now.
Randy Couture,
Yeah.
But that again was Tony prime at that time.
No.
Nah,
but,
neither was Randy though. So, so you can say that. But like I say, I think put Joshua in against Garn. Joshua flatlined him. Put him in against like the only one who I can see causing problems is actually Aspinall because he moves his feet in and out a lot. Like I don't see that in the heavyweight division, like where they have a broad stance and the bouncing. Like Garn and Aspinall, the only two I've ever seen do that.
Well, I mean, I guess I'll challenge you with that because, if it's an MMA fight, and you have a boxer, and you have someone like John Jones who's just so great at those straight kicks, the boxer's not going to have a chance. His legs are going to be gone.
Yeah, but John Jones ain't going to do many, like, against the boxer.
No, absolutely not.
John Jones is going to try and fight his hands. Like, he's going to try and grab his hands to stop his hands from moving. The moment he does that, the boxer's going to pull away and just knock him out. Like, it's simple. Like, if John Jones was that good, he'd be a boxer. He'd be making money as a boxer. Like, I say it about all the UFC guys. Like, if they were that good at boxing, then they wouldn't be making 50 grand for the UFC. They'd be making 50 mil in boxing. Like, that's what they all do. They all get to the top of UFC and then they call out a boxer. So, like, that's just my opinion of it. Like, I've been in with boxers and stuff like that where, and I know that feeling of just their jab. It's different. Like, it's just different. Like, when you train or spar or fight a guy that's very well trained at boxing, it's so hard to get into range against them. Like, and I know it sounds so easy to think, well, just throw a few teep kicks, throw a few front kicks, then they won't ever get the range on you if you just keep hitting them with the body and keeping them away. Good luck with that, because eventually they're going to catch your leg. Like, they're going to learn your timing with your kick, and they're going to catch your leg. And then what you're going to do? Then you've got your leg in their arm, and their arm's free to just go smash. Right? I don't know. That's just my opinion. I've always been boxing over the other combat sports anyway. But
I guess I guess the question I would have then why aren't more boxers UFC champions? Is it just money?
Because UFC will pay them 5% of what they'd get.
So just the money.
Boxing. Yeah, like why else? Like if they were warriors and all what they cared about was being the best fighter, then yeah, they'd fight for free on the street, wouldn't they? Like they'd just go out and fight every guy that calls them out. Like if that's the case, but they're not. They're athletes. Like that's what people forget. Is like we're seeing it now in MMA. They're not just guys that just want to fight. They're not your Tank Abbotts, the Roy Nelsons. Like, to look at a more modern one, a Derek Lewis or Tai Tuivasa. Like those guys are dying. Like you look at the heavyweight division now. Like they're not fat and flabby. You know, there's still a few, but they're getting less and less. And like, what I do think is it will shorten this gap that I'm saying. World class boxer compared to world class MMA fighter. It will shorten, but it needs the athletes to keep like taking it professionally, keep like learning and keep getting better and better. Like because boxing has 200 years on MMA.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Like MMA has been around for like 30 years. Yeah. Like the UFC has been around for like 30 years, and boxing has been around for hundreds of years. So you've had a long time to build up that reputation. I mean, even if you are somebody who just, exists in the world. Like, you know of famous boxers, you know of the Muhammad Ali's, right? You know of the Mike Tysons, because it was such like it's been built up over time.
Yeah.
But like, you can go on the street and ask a casual person if they know who the heavyweight champion of the world and the MMA is. Would they know? Probably not, right?
Exactly. And that's it. I just, like I say, I'm not hating on it. I just don't like the argument that well, it was more so when DJ made the argument. I just don't like all these MMA fans that are just like straight up like, oh, no boxer will last 5 minutes. Like, I don't think that's the case. Like, I think there's a reason why you don't see MMA. Many MMA people get actual boxers into their teams. So, i.e., like your American top team and stuff like that. I think there's a reason why there's not many actual boxers going to spar with those guys. Like, they have to go and spar with the boxers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They got to bring them in and pay them and be there and whatnot.
It's like, don't get me wrong, there's a few, like Dominic Cruz, I think he could have been a world-class boxer. Like, when you look at his foot movement and stuff like that.
His head movement, his foot movement, yeah he was great.
Right, so there is a few, like Pereira's one and Aldo. A lot of the Brazilians, I think, will translate well to boxing as well. But, yeah, I just think there's vast levels between it still at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Whenever if you're a world-class MMA fighter, you're probably an A level at 4 different disciplines.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a world-class boxer, you're an A plus S level at that one discipline.
Yeah.
You know, like there are levels to it, and that's true. But I'm of the opinion, once that boxer gets on his back, what's he going to do?
Yeah, but good luck getting him there. Like, that's what I'm saying. Is like, you've got to get into his hook range to do anything that'll get him on his back. Like,
I mean,
like, good luck.
That's fair, but I mean, they got to do that for MMA fighters too. They got to get in there.
Yeah, but MMA fighters are only used to fighting for 5 rounds. They'll get mentally drained before a boxer would.
Yeah, 5 rounds of 5 minutes that's hard work. 3 rounds or 12 rounds at 3 minutes. It's different. That's a different level, man.
And you got to remember, they're not. A lot of boxers don't just spar 12 rounds, like the sparring double, triple that. And I know it would be the same for MMA guys as well. But I don't know. I just think the mental tiredness, because in boxing it's so much like, you're hyper focused on so many like little details. Like, and I know in MMA you are as well, but there's so many different details in MMA. You can kind of get away with like just trying to assert what you want to do, and then hoping that like that works. Whereas in boxing, you try and assert one thing, and that's getting countered. All right, let me try it. Where I don't know, I just feel like the concentration of boxing that you have to be for all of them 12 rounds is just a lot more than it is in MMA or even like Thai boxing, kickboxing. Like, I just feel the concentration you need for that is so much more. I just think that adds to like focus and like timing and precision and all that stuff. So that's why I always come back to good luck trying that, because you have to get into their range and they're just so ready to just, you know what I mean? Whereas an MMA guy, he might see a movement and that might make him think of like throwing his leg up or some, you know what I mean? Whereas a boxer, there's not many different things. Oh, there's movement. I either do this, or I do this, you know?
Right, yeah. I mean, it's still a very focused discipline, but it's a more tight-knit, like, there's only so many things you can, a straight, a cross, an uppercut, you know, like there's only so many different things, but it's that constant threat of those so many different things. Whereas in MMA, you know, people, I mean, it's, you circle more, you kind of paw out there more, you throw them, like, you could throw a kick, you could throw a punch just to feel people out. Whereas I think in that high level boxing, like the feeling out after the first like 2 rounds is over. Like, and after that, it's you're gonna get punched in the face. Like, it's just gonna happen.
Yeah, that's it. And like, yeah, I do think there's something to that. I feel like I've gone on too much now to where people are like gonna be like, "You're doing an MMA podcast and you're hating on MMA. What's going on?"
Nah, it's general sports, man.
Yeah,
We love MMA over here, but I mean,
well, that's it. Yeah,
want
and
to
I'll
learn
always
about it.
admit,
And
I've always been a boxing man. Like, boxing was always. I think it was the first sport I loved, to be honest. Like, I don't know which one come before football or boxing, but boxing was definitely the one that, like, so my mum and dad would let me stay up late to watch boxing when I was a kid. So,
yeah,
like, let's just say Nazim Ahmed was fighting in America. Mum and dad would be like, right, we're going to wake you up just before he comes out to fight. So it'd be like 3 in the morning, and my mum and dad would come and wake me up, and then I'd wake up at 3, watch the fight, go back to
go
sleep.
back to sleep.
Yeah, so stuff like that, it just always felt special. Like, especially when it was happening in America, like Ricky Hatton going over there and stuff like that. So yeah, boxing's always. I'm always going to be the boxing guy. I think. Like,
Yeah,
when it
I mean,
comes
if
to
you
the
look at
arguments. Yeah.
your list of your favorite fighters or whatever, 4 out of the 5 were like boxers. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you very much lean more into that, which is good because it brings a perspective that I don't really have. I don't follow the boxing world that much. Obviously, when
Well, in
they're
all honesty, my list would have just been boxers. But I had to put 2 MMA guys consciously in there, like, because I would just do all boxers. Like, you'll probably get to about my top 20 to where Anderson Silva comes in, and
oh really? So you forced it in there.
yeah, like, because I don't know why, but I just prefer watching boxing. Like, yeah, there's just something about it. Like, I actually chose the Sphere over Canelo, which first time I ever chose UFC over Canelo or
I
anything
mean,
over Canelo.
is that
And
because Canelo was basically a foregone conclusion?
yeah, kind of. But
That was a battering.
yeah, but the thing is like when you watch someone as good as Canelo, even if you think it's a foregone conclusion, it's just there's something magical about that. Like someone as good as him. You know what I mean? Like the way how he puts his shots together and just that fear of Canelo can just end the fight whenever he wants.
Yeah, I was watching the replay, and some of those shots he hit that dude with were just nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally, like he hits the guy, and the guy's head literally spins and does like a 90-degree turn, and it looks like he's gonna snap his neck. His neck muscles bulging. He's like, dude, awful, just absolutely awful. And
It's horrible.
that's one shot. That's one shot. He probably got hit 100 times with those shots.
That's it. You got to think how tough are some of those guys. Like one shot from Canelo would
I'm out
wipe
until next
out.
week.
Yeah, not even his toughest one. Like just his warm up shot would like have you just keeled over on the floor, pissing blood for a week.
Yeah.
Whereas this guy took it for 12 rounds. Like it is. I always find that Max. Like
Just absolutely madness. Like people, those guys who just get battered and battered, and you just keep like the mental toughness it takes to step back out there, even though you're losing. You have no shot. You haven't landed much of anything, and you just know you're going to get out there and get bruised and battered and beat. Like you are a tough son of a bitch. Like that's wild.
Yeah, it's like I'll give it Fury. I'll give it both Fury and Wilder. Like Wilder in the Fury fights kept getting up and going and going and going, and then Fury after that. I think it was round 9 against Usyk.
Usyk, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he came back, and I think he ended up winning the next round. Like
he might
crazy.
have, yeah. He might have. Fury's good like that though. He
has an uncanny ability to bounce back.
He does. It's almost like he has something in his system that most men don't have. I wonder what that could be.
That gypsy blood?
Yeah, or pig's blood, like boar blood. Bit of that uncastrated bull that he blamed last time he had mad testosterone.
Yeah, I mean, he just eats a lot of meat. Like,
No, but I think if Fury wasn't as tall as he was, his back would have hit the canvas in that fight, and it would have finished there and then.
Yeah, he's a big man.
It's crazy how out he was.
Yeah, he was out there. He was out. I don't know which fight you're referring to, but Usyk, he was down. Like that
Yeah,
looked scary. And against Wilder, he was down. That looked scary. He was staring up at the lights at the count of
yeah.
7. And then somehow he miraculously gets up. Like, what the hell's in this guy's brain? Like, he's just, oh,
I
it's
know.
time to get
Yeah,
up now.
he is tough. Like, I don't like Fury, but he is tough. He's tough as
You
fucking
know,
nails.
so I mean, none of this is scripted, right? But that brings me to an interesting thing. Last time we did our podcast, right, all those years ago, we were talking about Fury coming out of retirement, and you seem to be a massive fan of his
What's
coming back.
changed? Yeah.
Talk about what happened. Is it just the personality just bothering you,
Well,
or
to be honest, right, I wasn't a massive fan of him. Like when he was coming back, I wasn't a big fan of him then. I was just more of not a fan of Wilder, like I suppose, because when he beat Klitschko all them years ago, then he tested positive or negative. I always forget which way around it is, but he tested on the bad side of things, and then he blamed it on stupid stuff, and then he went away for 2 years. Well, got banned for 2 years, and then that got glossed over with mental health. It was like all of a sudden he wasn't banned. Oh no, he was just away because of mental health, right? Which when he come back, I was happy because I was like, yeah, he has been down, he has put on a lot of weight, and I hope that he comes back now and he actually wants to be a boxer now. He actually wants to test himself. He doesn't avoid rematches and stuff like that. So when he come back, I was real excited because I thought Wilder's been avoiding Joshua. This is we're going back 5 years, and I wanted Wilder to fight someone, just anyone, like to show that he could be a champion. So then I thought Fury's coming back. That's ideal, right? Fury's going to show us who Wilder is because I knew how good Fury was. So Fury comes back, the Wilder fight happens. I'm buzzing. It's a draw, but I'm buzzing because I'm like, imagine what he's going to do in a rematch. Like, this is how good your guy is. That guy's just come off 2 years. You know what I'm saying? And then him avoiding the Wilder rematch was annoying because like, why are you avoiding that rematch? You know what I mean? So then he fought these two bums. Like one was Walling that Joshua fought, one was some other guy. Didn't look that impressive. And then he fights Wilder for the second time, beats him. And then he drags out the third. Now that he's the champion, then he's dragging out the third fight. Now he wants to fight all these bums again. Don't want to fight a number one contender and all that. Like to the point where Wilder had to take him to court to get him to fight, right? So to me, you're not a fighting man. Fury calls himself a fighting man. I'm a fighting man. I'll fight any man born from his mother twice on the son. No, you're not. Like if your opponent has to take you to court to fight, you're not a fighting man. Like you're not. Like especially when you've already beaten that guy. You know what I mean? So I looked at that as like the Klitschko thing is him not backing himself. Right? He's already proven he can beat him, but for some reason he doesn't believe he can beat him twice or 3 times.
or
So
doesn't feel he has to?
maybe, but you drew against him once and you beat him once. So beat him for the third time, prove it. You know what I'm saying? Like same with the Klitschko thing. It's like, yeah, you beat him once in quite a close fight to where you chose to point fight and stay away and not take any damage. Right? Great. Now go and do it again. You know what I mean? Now go and prove that this is what you do. Like this is what you do, right? It's just your default setting. You go and beat Klitschko. But now he didn't back himself. And and then since that, like Billy and White had to take him to court to fight for number one contender fight. Then he fights Chisora for a third time, which no one wanted. Like he already beat Chisora twice. Chisora wasn't even in the top 15, but yet he's fighting for a world championship. And then when all the stars aligned and Usyk dealt with Joshua, so there was no rematches left on the Joshua stuff. It was all there clear for Fury to fight Usyk. Oh no, Fury wants to fight Ngannou. So now we've got a debutant fighting for a world championship. Like, and it's not Ngannou's fault. It's not boxing's fault. It's
Right.
Tyson Fury's fault. And the belt, that one belt sanctioner, I think it was the IBF. Can't remember which one. But you know, so boxing was getting a lot of shit for that, and it's all just because of his actions. And every time the heavyweight division stalls and stumbers, it's when he's the champion or Wilder's the champion. So that's why it's changed. Because I thought Fury's going to beat Wilder, and it's going to open up the division. Because if you remember at the time, we had in the top 5, we had Dillian White, we had
Chisora, AJ.
we had so many Brits. So I thought this will be great. We can actually find out which of these Brits should be in the world top 5 by them all fighting each other. Because it makes no sense them all being in the top 5 if only 2 of them are 4. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that annoyed me. And then it's just how he is as a person as well. Like the whole, like lost the game, like before the Usyk fight, he kept saying he don't want to fight Usyk. Like, and these are actual words because he's a foreigner. Like, I don't want to fight him because he's a foreigner. Like, the heavyweights should only belong in the West. Like, that's what he used to say. Like,
What?
Stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
And then it's the whole, like, so after the Wilder fight, Manchester, I'll stop after this.
No, you're fine.
Fucking long one. But after the Wilder fight, I can't remember which one. But he promised, you'll probably remember, he promised to donate his purse to charity.
Yes.
In Manchester.
I do. Yes.
Right? Manchester was struggling at that time so much. We had a Tory government, and the Tories don't give a fuck about the North, right? So they just starve us basically. They just take and let us starve. We were starving in Manchester. Like, we had food banks and everything. And for him to promise to give, even if he promised 10%, right? Just to promise it and not live up to it in that time
makes you shitty.
So horrible, because he got all the good credit from it. He got all the good credit from saying it, but he never actually did it. So everyone thinks he's this lovely guy that's donated money to the homeless. When he's not donated a penny, no one can find any trace of this transaction anywhere. And whenever he asks, he gets defensive. So it's just stuff like that, to be honest, where, to me, I just think he brings boxing into disrepute, where he acts, the way how he is as a champion, but then is out of the ring. He's just a horrible role model as well. And it's like, I compare him to Anthony Joshua, and it's night and day. It's like Joshua's he just trains. He doesn't choose who he fights. He fights who his promoters choose, or who his manager chooses, or who his help chooses. You know, so I see all that. And in the UK, Fury's loved, but Joshua's hated. People think in the UK that Joshua's arrogant and cocky and all this stuff, right? But Fury's humble and this top guy.
Literally, that's Fury's
whole. No, it's the opposite. Like, to be honest, and I hate saying it, it's a race thing. Like, a big part of it is a race thing. So? A lot of English people, a lot of white English people, they see a black lad who's intelligent, smart, got a lot about himself, and they feel inferior, or they feel like they don't like it. They prefer their black guys to be like Dubois, who's a bit stupid and a bit slow and a bit like, you can tell him what to do and he'll do it, kind of thing. Whereas they see a guy like Joshua, like, same happening with one of my players now, Marcus Rashford, same thing's happening with him. They see a guy like him who's intelligent and smart and can actually give a good message to kids and can actually teach kids, and they go, oh, he's cocky, he's arrogant, he's this and he's that, and they hate on him. But yet they see a guy like Tyson Fury or a guy like Billy Joe Saunders acting the way how they act, and it's like, oh, he's a legend, he's just like us. And it's like, okay, so what's the difference here? Like, there's only one difference.
That's interesting. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it is pervasive, and I'm glad somebody's talking about it, I suppose, because I just didn't. I never understood it over here on our end. I mean, Anthony Joshua, he just seemed like a nobody. Like, obviously, he's the world heavyweight champion, you know, but like who is he? Like, we don't know
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
about him over here. Whereas
yeah.
Tyson Fury, we know a shitload about him because he's flamboyant. He's
Yeah.
extra. He puts himself out there, and maybe, I mean, for us, I think that's the big difference for me personally.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but I didn't realize. I mean, I guess I should have, just because everything seems to be a race thing. But I didn't realize it
At
would
the
be a
moment,
race thing.
yeah. That's the sad thing is when Joshua was starting out, it wasn't like this. Like it wasn't all split and divided like this. Like, everyone just supported him because he was British. But then I suppose Fury hasn't helped because Fury has said stuff along the lines of "I'm real British. I'm a proper British man." And you know what that means when he's saying that. Like you know what he's
Mm-hmm.
inferring. He don't want to say it, and no one wants to say it, but you know exactly what they're saying when they're saying that. Like I'm the real British fighter. I'm the real British man, and I think that's played a lot into it as well. Is like what's ironic, right? No one in Britain liked Fury because he was a gypsy. They looked at him different and less of like so most white English people didn't like Fury purely because he was a gypsy or a traveller and looked down on him. But because now they've got this other thing, who's a big black guy who looks totally different to what they are, and
Yeah,
Fury looks a
they
bit closer to what they
yeah,
are.
he's cool. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So it's like,
interesting.
yeah,
It's
like
unfortunate, but
obviously
it's interesting.
Black Lives Matter, like Joshua did a speech or read out a speech where he was like, basically it said, shop at your own places, like, like basically support your own community, like, and that got mistranslated as to don't don't help white people, essentially. So that didn't help. Like I knew exactly what he was saying was help out your own community. To me, I would say, if a black guy that lives where I live says that, I'd see myself included in that. You know what I'm saying? Because he's talking about the community. He's not talking
Right.
about like whatever. He's talking about basically instead of going Tesco, which is suppose is your Walmart, instead of going Walmart, go to your local greengrocer and buy your stuff off him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that didn't help. And then obviously Brexit and all that stuff happened, which just sparked off weird tribalism in England. Like such weird tribalism to where it's like when Trump was getting elected in America, like that sparked off like this whole culture thing, didn't it? Like same happened in Britain with Brexit, like whereas now just
And that was
culture.
like the same time too.
Yeah, it was, yeah, and like we're both in the same kind of situation now, where everything is about identity, culture, and all this stuff, and it's like even this now, what I'm saying, someone out there will be like, this white guy shouldn't be able to say this because he's
Right.
a white guy. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
100%.
So
Yeah, of course I do.
it's like it's frustrating that even boxing is affected by this kind of stuff. Like even football, like I was saying now, Man United fans, I call them top reds. Like they'll only speak highly of the white English players, but yeah, if someone black and English does something bad, they'll go on the attack. Or if someone foreign, like they can be white, but if they're foreign, then that's it. Like they get no support from these top reds. But yeah, the white guy who's English, who's a bit shit to be honest. Like United fans will probably guess who I'm talking about. Like, oh, he can't do no wrong, even though he scores own goals and is actively rubbish. You know what I mean?
Right.
But no, we must support him, not criticise him. But the young black lad who scored loads of goals for us, the moment he doesn't score a goal, we must attack him.
Yeah, I think we had. I would like to think we're past it and beyond it, but it's probably not true. That's just my naivety. But like in the National Football League, like when you have a quarterback who's black, like familiar vaguely with the concept of the quarterback, like the leader of the team.
Yeah, kind of.
There are not a lot of black quarterbacks. There just haven't been traditionally. I think there's probably like 5 in the league right now, maybe.
To cut you off, that is one thing I've noticed. So, is that Tom Brady's position?
Yes.
I have noticed that. I don't watch a lot of football, but I have noticed that in one position, or like if you look, I'm not being racist or anything, but football's like basketball, whereas and my sport, football, whereas if you look at the football pitch and the players, the majority black, like most of the athletes on there are African or however you want to describe black Caribbean people. And then there's always that one position where there's always a white guy. So I'm guessing that's the quarterback.
Yeah, and that would be like the primary person who gets the ball every single play, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
they're like the leader of the team, basically.
Yeah.
And so there hasn't traditionally been a lot of black quarterbacks, but there have been really, really great ones. But the absolute moment they do anything, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's a big deal.
Take
Where
it off him.
your same guy, the other guy, a different team happens to have a different skin color. They just, they ignore it, but brush it off. Like, I'd like to think we were past that, but again, that's probably naivety at this point.
No, see, the problem is it's hard to get past it because even when the people stop doing it, like the people that are watching it like that, where they want to only point out the flaws in just say black players, and overlook the flaws in white players, even when they stop doing it, someone will do it, will point out a flaw in a black player, and it'll be legit. But then people like us that have noticed it in the past will be like, "Oh, he's only pointing it out because he's a black guy." You know what I'm saying? So even when it does stop, the other side will still be defensive and keep it going, if that makes sense. Well, that's
Yeah.
my theory of it. It's
No, I
like,
get it. It's so pervasive that, like, I mean, it's just unfortunate. I'll just leave it at
it's,
that. It's. I mean, as a white dude, what else can I say? It's unfortunate. I
yeah,
don't condone it. I mean, the quarterback for the Packers is black. Like, I love
yeah,
Jordan Love. Like, I don't have any I don't have any qualms about it.
yeah.
But
Like you're not trying to get him kicked off quick. Like,
no, like,
but
I want
yeah,
him to do well. I want my team to do well.
the
Like,
thing is as well, it's such a shame because of where we both come from. Like we both come from such multicultural
mhm.
like countries. Like literally, like my country's always been invaded. Like so, we don't know what the fucking English person is. Like if that makes sense, because like until we become a powerhouse ourselves, we were just always invaded and then took as slaves and then you know so and like similar with your country is it's so multicultural and it's built from just people from everywhere, like Chinese, African, European. Like it's just such a shame that we're at this point. Like how have we gone 300 years of getting everything to where we're at now to then be so separated so
to
easily?
still be so, yeah, like,
Yeah,
that's weird. I mean, like, I don't know, man. I mean, I played basketball like growing up, so basketball is primarily like the only white guy on the team 90% of
yeah,
the time I played. So I was just it was never a part of my childhood growing up. I mean, Alicia is half Spanish. Her dad's from Puerto Rico, so like my kid is technically mixed. Like, I don't care what color you are. Color it's weird. Like, I'm two different fucking colors if you look at me. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
No,
like
that's
it's
it.
just such a weird thing to base sports fandom over. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't
it's
make any
like
sense.
it's like so me and you are both European, right? But we're so our cultures, our family's cultures will be so different and alien to each other.
Mhm.
Like for us to have like some camaraderie over just the fact we're European would be a bit strange. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then that's what we do though. Like that's how we are. Is like me and you, we don't get along because of we're white or whatever. We got along because there was similar subjects that we
yeah,
got along
yeah.
with and
We
stuff like
created
that.
similar content. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think people need to get away from that whole like I'm only going to stick with people and talk to people that are from my culture or my color or my creed or my religion.
yeah.
Like
Because I mean, you'll find people of every different genre who like what you like. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, you'll
exactly.
find you'll have more in common with the black dude down the street than you do with the white guy you live in the same house as. You know what I'm saying? Like it just
No,
doesn't make
exactly.
like
And that's what's mad is like it's just weird that we're talking about this. Like
it
it is.
is
It's it's just
two
not
white
right. Like
guys.
we were talking about similar stuff 5 years ago, right? And
Yeah,
we were worried about where that's going to lead to, and we're at that point now where we're 5 years on, and we can see where it has led to, and it's not stopping, is it? It doesn't seem like it's going to stop.
it does not, and unfortunately, I don't see that it's going to get better anytime soon. Just because
No.
I don't know, I feel like we're kind of stuck in a cycle right now. And I don't know what it's going to take to fix that cycle, but I'm for it. I want to be a part of the fix that cycle people.
Yeah. I'm hoping it's our generation. Like when our generation start getting into like positions of power, things will change a bit. But I actually don't see that now. Like, I actually think we've just become the same as the older generations. Like we slipped into the same habits, and like I'm just hoping the younger generations, which they do seem to be, just so far removed from all the bullshit that we grew up around, and like
Yeah,
the
I
older
hope so.
generations grew up around. That I just hope they see through it, like which they seem to do. Like
The,
my niece, she's 10, and like she seems to see through so much bullshit that I would have fell for as a kid. So I'm hoping like the internet is going to be like the eye opener, and they're going to be the ones to make change.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I can see that the internet is a place where you can find anything, right? Every different, whatever they're making content to consume, and it doesn't matter what they look like as long as they're entertaining or they
Yeah,
make what you want to watch or whatever. And I think it could be like a big, like you said, an eye opener for people, but at the same time, it could be like if you fall into that trap and you start watching one specific thing, like it could be
well that's it, isn't it? It's
damaging.
like when they get to the teens is the crucial bit where they slip into. Like so if you if you have a kid now who's like 13, like you want to be very careful if they slip into the Andrew Tate. Oh, do you know? No, this is funny, right? My dad is an Andrew Tate fan. How funny is that, right?
Your dad is an alpha.
Yeah. So he come round the other day, and he was like, have you heard of a Thai boxer called? Like my dad's bad with names, so he was telling me all the wrong names. So I was like, no, I've not, I've not. I was like, you sure they were a world champion? He's like, yeah, he was a world champion. And I'm like, oh no, I've not. I don't think I've heard of him. I was like, Google him or something. So he's Googled him and he's gone, that's him, Cobra Tate. So at first I didn't recognise him as Cobra, yeah. So I'm like, Cobra Tate. Yeah, I've heard that name. I just can't remember where from.
Right, or why, right, yeah.
Yeah, so I Google him, and I'm like, where have you heard this guy from? And he's like, oh, watch this podcast called James English. And I'm like, oh, that, James English is just full of like, I don't know, it's just like a bit of a bullshit podcast, a truth seer podcast. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm like, oh, you don't listen to that, do you? And he's like, yeah, this Andrew Tate guy, man, he's like, he's a world champion Thai boxer, and he does all this and he does all that. And I'm like, no, he's not. Like, I was like, for one, when he was Thai boxing, kickboxing, he was doing it for promotions that invented world titles to call him a world champion. Like, he wasn't beating no he wasn't fighting Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya. Like, he was fighting nobodies from nowhere and then calling himself a world champion. And I was like, so I was like, look, Dad, just don't believe everything he says. Like, he's literally getting done for sex trafficking. And then my dad's like, no, that's just the BBC. That's just the BBC making up lies. And I'm like, no, Dad.
That's
Like,
Romania, the country.
yeah. I'm like, Dad, sometimes the BBC might protect horrible people, right? But I don't think they just make up news against people we don't like. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they might do every now and then. But I don't think they're actively making up that he's a sex trafficker just because they don't like him. Like, if anything, they're going to hide it. So I was trying to explain that to him, and it just made me laugh because I was just like,
Your
you're a
dad's a
60-year-old
Andrew
man
Tate fan.
getting red pilled. Like, what's going on? And he's getting all like anti-immigrant and shit, and like
Uh,
it's just fucking
well,
like
you
we
guys
were
got a
literally,
lot of wild stories coming out of the UK with
mate.
immigrants and stuff, man.
No, I know, yeah, but yeah, it's just we were arguing over it, and it was just funny because it was just like, how are you getting red pilled at 60? Like, what's going on?
That's funny. Yeah, I can honestly say, besides like random accidental things as I'm scrolling through, I've never watched anything from him. So I don't know a lot about him other than, like I said, with a few like things that I've come across as I'm scrolling or whatever. It's
Yeah,
not something I intentionally seek out. I don't care how to be a supreme macho alpha who has all, like, I don't care about that shit,
I
man.
know, yeah. I'm similar. Like everything I hear about him is just through like not something I'm seeking out, like someone talking about him or whatever. Excuse me. God, this smooth is doing a number on me today. But yeah, it's just again, he's another one where, like I was saying about John Jones and Sugar Sean, where everything just seems manipulated. Like where it's like because I watched him fight. I'm not gonna lie. When he started getting popular, I thought, let me actually just watch him fight and see. And yeah, you can tell he's trained and to a high level and all that stuff. But the guys he was fighting against weren't on his level, so it didn't seem fair. And part of me thought, how would you react if a real alpha male was angry at you and wanted to punch your head in? Like, how would you react to that? Because you don't live in England, right? So you've not been around that. Because I think that might be a reason why he doesn't live in England. Because in England, we don't we don't argue. We just fight. Like we like a good fight, and it's not with the young generation. Yeah, it gets a bit serious, and they get stabbed and all that, and you know, like families get involved and all that shit. But with like my generation and older, you just have a fight and it'd be over. Whereas I think that's probably part of why he don't live in England, is because he knows that you can't chat
They're
shit
not
here.
gonna, yeah, they're not
Yeah,
gonna
like
tolerate it.
someone's gonna put one on your chin if you chat that kind of nonsense. Like, and yeah, like that's where I left with thinking about him and his brother. I thought, wait, I can tell by how you speak, you brought up posh, yeah, and you brought up in fucking private school, because I can just tell by how they speak, both of them. So they've never actually been around proper English culture, proper English men. So they have this outward look of what an alpha should be, and they have no understanding of it. Like, and I'm not saying this like I'm some alpha. I don't even believe in that shit. Like wolves don't even have that fucking shit going on. Like people think like wolves have alphas and stuff. They don't. Wolves don't have leaders. Like if you want to animalize it and all that, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Humans don't either. We just have ones that are like louder, or ones that are like more physical, or ones that are like no one has all that thing combined into one to be the
Yeah,
alpha. Like you know what I mean?
yeah. I think, and a lot of times the one quietly sitting in the room is usually the one that's actually leading the room.
Yeah, yeah,
So, when you're brash and in people's face, that's just, to me, it's a sign of weakness. I'm not a psychologist or anything like that, but usually the loudest person is the dumbest person, if
yeah.
that makes sense.
No, I agree. I mean, look at your presidential system. I'm not even saying this as a joke, but like, I mean, it could be looked at this way because it is a bit funny. But I mean, you look at your last two presidents, Trump and Biden. They weren't the guys making the decisions. It's so clear. Like they were the mouthpieces. You know what I mean? Like
I mean, I think that's everywhere. I don't even think that's just in
oh yeah. I'm not
America.
just saying it's just America. I just think with Biden being so old and so like soup brained, and Trump being so
Yeah,
like just the way how he is, like it's so clear they were not running the country at any point.
yeah. No, I agree, and I think that speaks to a different issue
Yeah.
that maybe we don't want to get into on this one. But yeah, it's very clear. Definitely, Biden is not running America right now.
No. Nah, they're all just puppets, man. Same with Obama. Like, he was just a fucking mouthpiece. Like, the perfect mouthpiece for his team at the time. Like, with Trump, I think it was a bit different. Because I think he's hard to control, isn't he? But I still think, like, they used him to get their party into power.
Yeah, it very well could have been that. But I think that's all politics, though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the money behind the politician that's really the driving force.
Mm-hmm. Quickly as well,
Sure.
this, you mentioned it, and I also saw a bit more before we were going live, but the Mr. Beast Lunchables,
Oh yeah,
Mr. Beast, KSI, and Logan Paul
yeah.
selling stuff to your kids again. Um,
And they're trying to market it as healthy.
yeah, they try to market it as healthy, which I had a little look, right? And apparently this only exists because they couldn't sell another product. I think a burger or something that had meat in it that they couldn't sell. So they've cut this meat up into Lunchables and
Oh
rebranded
god.
it as a Lunchable thing. Which I just, you know what I'm tired of, right? Because I saw Mr. Beast comparing his Lunchables to some other Lunchable thing,
Yeah, I
right?
saw this stupid video.
And he's making out like his is like pure and healthy and it's helping the world. Like, bro, just sell your shit. Like, just be
Stop
like,
lying.
buy this thing because it's gonna, because I want you to buy it because it's
Because it
gonna
has my
make
name on
my
it.
money
Buy
profit.
it because it has my name on it.
Yeah, yeah. Like, honestly, just do that. Then be, instead of being like, well, if you buy this, it's gonna help this thing and it's gonna help. Like, stop it. Like, just fucking sell your shit and fuck off.
Yeah, but it's a psychopath mentality, man.
Mm,
We're doing this to help you,
yeah,
right? This is good because we're
you must
bringing it
buy
to you.
this.
You must obey.
Like,
Yeah, I saw
what?
that. And I rolled my eyes, and I just couldn't help but like, what are they gonna do next? I mean, like,
Mm. And like, part of me thought, right, I thought, here we go. This is perfect for Mr. Beast. Like, after all the controversy, this is perfect time for him to go away, spend a few months, maybe a year, away from the fucking shadows. Like, let us forget about him, come back, do something, and then everyone will be like, oh, Jesus is back. Like, oh, he's come out of the cave, he's risen again.
right?
But no, he's that much of a psycho. He can't leave. He
He
can't leave
can't,
it, can he?
and he's doing more stuff towards children.
Mm. It's so
He
weird, isn't
can't
it?
stay
Like,
away. Like
yeah,
he's in his what mid to late 20s by now. Like, shift your focus. Like,
right. Well, surely, right? He started off like 5 years ago. Surely his majority of his subscribers are now grown up, like the ones that went on this journey with him. So you should have just altered your content to them instead of just targeting kids all the time.
I mean, keep targeting the kids. That's how they operate. To be honest.
It is. Do you think he has like a Jesus complex?
Oh, for sure. I think we've
Is that?
talked about it. I think it's
Yeah.
that psychopath mentality. You have that. I am your savior. I am a great thing that's happening to humanity, and I will be worshipped. Basically, I'll be the most worshipped person on earth. You know, in terms
Yeah.
of subscriber count and video views and stuff like that. I'm your savior. Like, it is a very weird God complex that he has.
Yeah. Like I was gonna do a video, but I reckon it's probably done anyway. But part of me was because I noticed he did a video where he walked on water, yeah, and then I noticed he cured the blind, yeah, and I've also noticed he feeds people. He
Right?
gets like he gets a little and feeds a lot. So like all these are like Jesus miracles, right? They're all like I'm trying to think of what other miracles Jesus was known for, yeah.
Yeah,
And
he's
then
got
I've
to
got to
turn
do
water
like a
into
little
wine. So
video.
he's gonna make wine soon, right? I mean, that's
Yeah,
the next step.
you know that's a good
Mr.
one.
Beast
He's gonna
wine.
buy a vineyard or something. Yeah, that'll be another one. If he's not already done it, I
Right, we're
guarantee that'll
calling it
be another
now.
one. Yeah, like
Um,
hopefully we get to
get it.
crucify him at some point.
Hey, we tried, but it didn't work.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna send some Italians over, see what happens.
Right? Can we get the Italians, the Italian Legion, to go over there and
Yeah, get the Italians and the get some Italians and some Israelis. They'll sort him out.
right?
Like, like
Have
they did it
the
last time.
Israelis
They do it again
persecute
this
him, and
time.
then
Were the people from there Israelis at the time? I don't know, but
they were Jews, so I mean, I think
yeah,
that's
that's
good
all I
enough,
mean. Yeah, I
right?
don't know if that's. Oh yeah, they like to be Israelis. I got it mixed up, but
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't want to offend no one, but yeah, I reckon they were Israelis at the time. But yeah, so Mr. Beast, what I'm gonna
Yeah.
do, I'm gonna hire a big bunch of centaurians from Rome. I'm gonna find as many Orthodox are the old school ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm gonna find as many Orthodox Jewish people as I can. I'm gonna pull them out of them tunnels in New York. Sorry, but that's just reminding me of the tunnels.
Yeah, that
Other
video of the
facts,
guns.
I'm gonna get my centaurians and I'm gonna get all my Orthodox Jews and we're gonna go marching in the tunnels. I'm gonna pull you through the tunnels. And that's gonna be the end of you, mate.
Right.
We've had
Just
enough.
pull you down to the ether. You're gone.
Yeah. And then in 5 years' time, I'll send someone to Greece and they'll mention you, and then that your religion will start.
Well,
There we go.
Somebody will write a book.
Bestiality. That's what we can call it. Instead of Christianity, we'll call it bestiality. Welcome to my religion, bestiality.
Your tenets are you have to pretend to be a good person, so it builds up your ego.
Yeah.
Any good thing that you could possibly do, make sure you record it for everybody else to see.
Yeah. All the 10 Commandments are on YouTube's home screen.
You must cater to children, even though you're 30.
Yeah. You must only focus on children, and also you must have some weird connection to the Mormon church.
And all of your immediate hires must be convicted or alleged PDF files.
Yeah, and also it would also help greatly if you hired the lawyer of, let's just say, someone like Weinstein, Epstein.
Yeah. Somebody who has already had.
That'll help you out. Yeah. That doesn't say anything bad about you.
Ugh.
Welcome to Bestiality.
Bestiality.
It's actually a good idea for a video.
It really is. Take it now with it, man.
You know what? We might have to do some long form collab for this.
That would be great.
Some epic bestiality video. Because I'm sure, didn't Jesus? Oh no, I'm thinking of something else. But a lot of it come down over whores as well, didn't it? Like Mary Magdalene was supposed to be a whore or something.
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah, so, and in his group, he has a boys club in the bestiality group. And maybe they're his 12 disciples.
Right.
And Chris or whatever that person's name is.
This is Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, that's his Mary Magdalene. That's the whore there. We need a Judas. Who can be Judas? I reckon Logan Paul will be the perfect Judas. He's there, knife in his hand, ready to stab him.
Right, just waiting in the wings. I should be that famous. That should be me.
Imagine.
That's good stuff.
Imagine if we took off within the amount of time he took off, so over the past 5 years, imagine the darkness we might have got involved with.
I mean, you could kind of see that weird cultish mentality in some of those groups we were
Oh yeah,
associating with.
yeah.
Imagine if that had continued.
Mm. But then again, I suppose it's like the whole psychopath thing is we were aware of it.
Yes,
So it's
yes.
like people say that you can't be a psychopath and be aware of being one. Like the moment you show awareness that you are one, you're not one, if that makes any sense. So I suppose we might have slipped the net, like to give us the benefit of the doubt, because we noticed it like early.
Yeah, yeah, very much. And we called out the little cult leader, and I think I interviewed him twice. Just
Have you ever
weird
looked up
guy.
any of these people? Have you
Pardon?
ever looked any of them up?
No, you?
No, I
I
know it.
don't. I only remember Cox,
Yeah, I remember Cox, and I remember
Saucy, but I don't.
Dorsey. Yeah, I was gonna say I can't remember his name other than
But those are the
So.
only two I remember. Like, but
Yeah,
I don't remember
same.
like usernames or anything like that.
A part of me wants to look them up and see how to do it.
See what they're
Like,
doing and have them on the podcast and see.
yeah, and in a hopeful way for it to be like, oh yeah, do you know what? You guys, not that I want to be right about everything, but I would want to be right about this. And
Yeah, because I
but
mean
I'd
it's
like him
five,
to
6 years in the
like,
making.
yeah, and I'd like him to be like, you know what? You were right, and after a few years of doing this, it wrecked my mental health or whatever. And I just want to say, like, thank you for not being sheep and actually pointing it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe I think that's something I'll do this week is try to poke
Yeah.
and see
One
if I
of
can
them's got me
find.
blocked. I know that
Oh
because
yeah.
we were talking about a video I did, like, in the first podcast we did when we come back, and I said I did a video with no audio and, like,
Yes,
to
yes,
see
yes.
what comments I got. So I looked back on that after the podcast and I noticed Saucy was one of the fake comments. So I clicked on his thing and I'm blocked. And he's also blocked my other one as well. So I must have commented. I must have got blocked and commented on my other one and got myself blocked on my other one as well.
So that was what on YouTube,
Yeah,
the video.
yeah. So was it saucy sarcasm, something like that?
Saucy sarcasm. Yeah.
I'll have a quick look.
What video was that? Let's find it.
What the one I'm talking about with no audio?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, actually, it was on the YouTube of this. What was it called now? Because it was either on that. Oh no, I remember what it was on. Right, I'm gonna show you the video because
Sure.
I got called Internet Jesus for this video because this was basically right. This is when I had enough, and me and you were talking in private about like what we thought was going on with these groups.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying to you, "Do you mind if I make a little skit about it?"
Yeah.
And you were like, "No, it's fine." And I said, "I'm not going to do it, so it's blatantly obvious. Like we know what's going on. It's going to look like a skit, but like from the outside, you will see that I know what's going on." So nearly found it. Here we are. The video is called "We Are Creators Exposed" because that's what the thing was, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, that was the one. Yeah.
Hashtag. It's so stupid now. I think that's funny.
Hello, and welcome to We Are Creators Anonymous. Now, I'm going to explain briefly what We Are Creators is about. We Are Creators is about organic growth, no substance.
I'm not going to make you watch it all.
No, that's fine.
But I just want to show the ending. Because essentially, right, it was just me sat in my boxer shorts with a suit and tie on, with gay porn playing behind me on the TV. Watch.
Have a good one. Peace out.
What the fuck?
Like, you can't really see it, but that's just some gay porn in the back. Like, just some gay porn scene. I remember doing all that because they were all acting so shady in the group chats. Like, all acting like, I don't know how to put it, but they were just acting stupid and shady and were outing people for things and stuff like that. But then their content was so kid friendly and was so like scared to be offensive and all that. And so to give you the backstory, me, Syde, and another guy started this hashtag We Are Creators or whatever, just to share our videos and stuff. Kind of got hijacked by the social apps. And that's why I did that video, because I noticed it was getting hijacked. But I always kept saying, like, We Are Creators, it doesn't have rules, it doesn't have this or that, or you got to make this kind of content, that kind of content. You just make content and use the hashtag like for promotion. And but then one of them didn't like the fact that I would lean into like humor like that and would try and tell me not to do certain things. So I thought, and then in the group we were talking about making a video for We Are Creators. So I said, I'll do that. I'll make the advertisement video for it. And everyone was like, yeah, cool. Everyone was like, sweet, we don't mind you doing that. So I was like, are you sure, Saucy? And he's like, yeah. So I'm like, okay. And then that was the advert I made for it. And then in the comments, this is how I found him. There's one comment where he's like, the video is not sponsored by We Are Creators. And then I put, I founded We Are Creators, so technically it is highly endorsed by one quarter of founders at least. And yeah, that's how I found out I was blocked, like, because I saw that video and I was like, what's this? And I watched it, I was like, oh, that's actually funny. And I looked at the comments, the top comment was like, you're internet Jesus, which I thought, that's a nice comment. And then I look and I saw his comment where he's like, this is not, obviously he's trying to control it. He's trying to be like, this is going against my control. And then I've clearly pointed out, like, well, it's clearly endorsed by one of the 4 founders, so shut up.
Right. That's funny. That is too funny, man.
Yeah.
Oh, some of that stuff was good.
Mate, what was funny, behind my head, when I was doing that, there was, like, the most hardcore gay sex scene going on. And, like, I had to do that take where I stood up a few times because I'd move away.
You can see.
Like a bum hole on the TV or something. And I was like, no, can't keep that one. So then I do it again, stand up. And then luckily, the one that I kept was where the guy was putting his shirt on. And I thought, yeah, you can tell that's gay porn still.
What the fuck?
I just knew, like, that everything about it would freak. Like, part of it was that experiment was, is he going to actually watch this enough to notice, like, what's happening in the video, or am I just going to get a normal, like,
generic canned response?
Yeah. So that was part of me doing that, and another part was, you know what, I respect this thing so much to where they're getting it, is I'm willing to film half naked in front of my TV with gay porn playing in the background, like, just to bring it all down.
That's funny. I had no idea that's what was going on in the background. I just thought it was like a movie or something. I didn't really pay attention, but I just saw. I looked it up. I had commented on it. Just laughing, but whatever. A lot of the stuff I do like that, even if I think no one's gonna see it, I love doing little things like that. To where, like, years later, I'll talk about something. And I'll be like, did you know there's a hardcore gay sex scene when the whole time I did that video? I'm like, no. It's like, well, yeah. So what did you do that for? I was like, I don't know. It's just thought it adds to it, doesn't it? Subtle, very subtle. I mean, it's clever. I can't say that it's clever.
Yeah, I'm not sure even if it's clever. It's just fucking weird. Like now when we think about it, it's like they were all like trying to attract kids to their brands and stuff, and there's me just gay porn on the TV, half naked. Like, yeah, come and join.
But we are creators.
Yeah. Like, I just wanted to make so light of it, you know. Like, and what was funny is, I knew that the people I was targeting wouldn't fully clock and understand like what I was doing. But I knew it'd be people like you and like the guy that commented Internet Jesus. I knew those guys would see like some of the intricacies or like the what's the word, like the not overly spoken points that I was trying to make. Like
Right.
I knew that the right people would see the right stuff.
Right.
The wrong people will just see what they want to see, you know.
And that was the whole point, was to see how, if they were paying attention or if they were just coming for 5 seconds and then saying what their little piece and then leaving again.
Exactly. But
That's
yeah,
funny, man.
A big part of me does want to reach out to them and like.
Yeah, that's on my to-do list for the week.
You know, what's that?
So that's on my to-do list for the week, is to see if any
same,
of them
I'm
are.
gonna look them up, and I hope they've changed in a way, but I hope
not.
Yeah, that'll be more fun. Like James Cox was fun. Like I used to like James Cox as he'd actually engage like with you. Like the other ones, like, they kind of thought, oh, I'm too big for this. Like, I'm too big. I'm not even going to comment. Not even going to bring myself down to their level. Like, which that used to annoy me more because I used to think you're not even on any level. Like, so let alone think that we're bringing you down or whatever. Whereas James Cox, he couldn't fight the urge to fight back. Which I'll give James Cox that. He's a fighter.
Yeah, he definitely stood up for whatever he believed in, which, yeah, I guess that's something, I guess.
Yeah. What even is like our beef with him was it sub trains.
Yeah, the whole sub for sub culture and doing it, pretending like you're doing it for good reasons, but really you're just getting it for your own watch time and donations.
Because like, if I'm right, didn't he like make money off
oh yeah, donations and getting people, you'd have to pay him to be on stream or something.
Yeah, oh yeah, and we managed to get on for free, didn't we? Like that's how it works, right? You don't do the follow for follow because they're not gonna put you on their stream, right? Unless you pay a lot. What you do is you tell them it's wrong what they're doing.
And then they'll give you that free promotion,
Yeah, you tell them it's wrong what they're doing, and then you just like lightly insult them. I'm not telling you to go out there insulting people, but just lightly do it.
Just poke them.
Yeah, just poke them enough. Like I'm not saying like talk about the wives and the kids and all that stuff. Like, but just poke them, especially at the personalities. Like that's one thing they don't like is talk about their personality. They don't like that.
Don't insult them.
Yeah. Don't say anything that makes them look human. They don't like looking human. So do all
Jesus
that
complex.
And eventually, right, they'll want to challenge you live.
Free promo.
Yeah, because like you just said, Jesus complex, right? No one can beat me. No one's better than me. So I will take on this guy live. And then you've got your free promo. You don't need to pay for all that stuff.
Yep.
Like there were people paying thousands of pounds or dollars to get onto the streams that we got onto free multiple times just because he disagreed with us. Like, it's sad really when you think about it.
No, it is, yeah. It is sad. That being said, I am sad because I'm tired.
Yeah. I know, yeah.
But yeah, I think we had a good chat this week, and I think, we didn't cover everything we wanted to cover, but that's okay because I think it was natural and organic and fun, and it was a good chat. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, And one last thing.
Oh, always.
Fuck Michael
Chandler.
Now, do you know what though? Briefly, I'm actually happy he's got a fight.
Yeah.
Like
Oliveira.
I know it looks like we just hate on him. I don't. Like, I'm actually happy he's got a fight, and
I'm glad it's not Connor.
Yeah, same. I'm glad it's not Connor. Part of me feels like he's listened to us. I honestly feel like it. I honestly feel like since we started doing this podcast, and I've started being a bit more like trolly with him on Twitter and stuff, I actually feel like, and it's not just us, but I feel like the MMA fan base penetrated him, and we managed to get him to get moving and to give up on this whole Conor McGregor bullshit.
So
now,
Michael Chandler has been penetrated.
Yeah, and what's perfect is, right, he feels like he's in control of this whole scenario, so he gets to say, oh, I pulled out of this fight because I want to rematch Oliveira because he's the only person that stopped me from getting a title. So it's ideal for Chandler because now he can be this psychopath where he's like, oh, it's all because I wanted to do it. So I'm buzzing for him. He gets to be a happy little psychopath, pretend he's in control of things, and he's going to get knocked the fuck out, and I can't wait to see it.
Or he's going to get tapped out. That's what I want to see. I always want to go to sleep. Go to sleep.
I'd be very surprised if he's walking out of that octagon. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Even if he wins, I'll be very surprised if he's walking out of that octagon. Because, like, he's just too chaotic. Like, and it's not even fun. Like, people think he's fun. Like, it's not fun to watch. He's not. He's not fun to watch. Like, him and Gaethje was just like watching. It was like watching
just
two
people throwing sledgehammers at each other.
Yeah, like there was no skill. There was no like. It was just who's gonna headbutt each other first. Like that literally was it. Because all what they do is go.
Yeah.
Like so, it was just a case of who's gonna headbutt the other one first. So I'm not buying into all this. Chandler's excited and we all like to. No, we don't. He's boring. I'm just happy he's fighting again.
Yeah.
After spending 2 years like being bullshitted and then bullshitting everyone else. But I'm just glad he's going to get back in that octagon. And you know what? I wouldn't even be upset if he won. Like, I'd actually be a little bit happy for him if he won. But I'd still say, fuck Michael Chandler.
All right, man. Good talk.
Yeah, man. Nice one. I'll see you in a bit anyway.
Yep. All right,
Have a good one, mate.
Thanks, guys.